to make sure like buttons have been here. I have another question. Okay. Fiction or football? Bruno Fernandes has wasted his career at Manchester United despite creating more chances than any other player in Europe, 512 since 2020. He has nothing really to show for it.
Fact.
You think it's a fact? You think he's wasted his career at Man United?
I feel like at Man United, you can't waste your career. I think straight up, especially if you can live there, if you can be there for over a prolonged period, because of the size of Man United is, you can never technically waste your career there with being the captain. 294 games, 185 goals and assists. That's crazy numbers, but they are numbers that you would expect for winning Premier League, Champions League. So I think he looking back at his career and seeing that, will he think he's wasted it? I don't think so, because of where he is, and being the captain of Man United is a massive thing. But would you prefer to be winning Champions League and Premier Leagues? Maybe. I think that he could potentially think that he's maybe wasted part of his career. But I think as a Man United, like if I was there, I would not be thinking that I'm wasting my career. But if he gets you to the point, I think the thing that he needs to think about, if he can get you to the point where you're back challenging, like you did the other season, but if you get back challenging and he's the captain of Man United, he will not be thinking that.
I mean, he has won a trophy there, so it's not like it's been a total waste. He's won 2 trophies even. So
two.
Yeah.
So he's had a career. Me personally, he's in that position where you're a really good player at a bad team. Do you stay for like the benefits you already have, or do you leave and try and create legacy elsewhere? If he had the option of going to like a Barca or a Madrid like 2 years ago, then he should have, or a Bayern Munich, he should have left, and then he should have got on one more things. But I don't really think that option was there. And now his current options are Saudi Arabia. So yeah, I mean, kind of knowing your market, knowing your market. Is it a waste? Probably not. He's had a bigger platform playing for United than he ever would have had at Sporting. So I wouldn't say it's a waste. No.
It depends what he values, though, really, doesn't it? Because if he's like a Man United fan, diehard, then it doesn't matter how. If he won nothing, he probably would have. He's not going to see it as a waste.
Like Shearer, yeah,
like Shearer, absolutely.
Waste.
But well, no, it's true. It's shameful as that sounds. It's absolutely true. But that's just, I'm not bothered. But Bruno Fernandes has the talent to have won Premier Leagues, to have won Champions Leagues, I think. And if that was what he was interested in, then he would have to regard his time at Man United as a waste, because, again, he's only won an FA Cup and a League Cup in the time since the questions paused, I think. And so, again, it comes down to what he values. Could he have got a move to somewhere else? I don't know. I think leaving Man United at the peak of his powers have been very difficult. So whether a move was possible, I don't know. But I think he had the talent and was more than good enough to be in a team that would have won the Premier League or Champions League. And he hasn't, because unfortunately for him, he's been at a team that hasn't been at that level. Exactly.
That's interesting for me. Like I get where I see it from the angle of this post is, I think Bruno being at Man United in a team that has, look, he's won FA Cups, he's won League Cups, lost 2 European finals. Even if we'd won those, it'd still be seen as underachieving based on a club with the stature that we have. I think being at Man United in that time, one, we've had a very toxic fan base because we've been losing and we've been pulling each other's hair out, and half the fan base has loved him always, and half the fan base has despised him because the player. This is always what happens with struggling teams: is you adopt. It seems that you adopt more of an affinity for your favorite players rather than the team and the club as a collective. So then there's the player FC wars that went on, and then you get rivals that probably do see him, really, if they're being honest, as the only real shining light in the last 5 years. But it's then fashionable to shit on him because, well, look, United have got nothing else. Let's take that one thing away from them as well. I do think if he'd have joined City, which he was rumoured to, I still think he'd have created and scored similar amounts because he's done that for a number of years. I think he'd be viewed at very, very differently. I think that if he'd gone somewhere else and won league titles and Champions League, which I think he has the ability to do, I think he'd be perceived different. I actually think if Man United were winning Prems and Champions Leagues and he behaved the way he did, I don't think people would view it as being as petulant. I think it's coupled with, why are you screaming and shouting like a winner when your team's crap? I think all these things kind of happen. So has he wasted his career? I think from a certain perspective, you can argue that he has. But then loads of players in the last 12, 13 years, especially the ones that have spent 4, 5, 6, 7 years at Man United, they just haven't achieved what a lot of their teammates of the clubs they were at or their compatriots have done. I look at Luke Shaw as another one. I know that I've wanted him gone for a long time because of his injuries, but I do think, again, he could have joined nearly any club he wanted to at 18, 19, and I think he did probably make the wrong choice in reality. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting one. But yeah, the numbers just the one thing that always makes me laugh about Bruno, where I always will defend him. I don't like him in the 8 at the moment. I'm not going to change my mind about that right now. But I don't know how someone can create more chances. And by the way, KDB is the closest to him on like 300 and something like 80. I don't see how you can create the volume of chances he does, score the volume of goals that he scores, assist the amount he assists, and then people still say he's an absolute dog shit player, no good ability on the ball. That's the bit that annoys. That's the conversation where I think had he been at a club that was winning some more major trophies, I do think the sort of view of him would have been a little bit different because those numbers are absolutely insane. I mean, he has a record that's never been discussed really by the mainstream because we didn't win a trophy that year. But he scored more goals in a single season as a midfielder than any other English-based midfielder ever. Broke Sir Bobby Charlton and Frank Lampard's record in one season. And it just got no respect, like whatsoever. Now, I don't expect it to get as much respect as like a really good title-winning performance season because I'm someone that advocates for winning trophies alongside it. But as an individual, like no midfielder has ever done what Bruno Fernandes has done in 140 years. And it's just like it's not even a footnote, which I just find interesting. So I think from that aspect, I do think you could argue he wasted his career because had he have gone City and done it, had he have gone Madrid and done it, had he have gone PSG and done similar numbers, I think people would look at him really differently. And I suppose that's a bit of a shame, but he might not regret it. As you meant, he might have loved being at Man United. He's won some trophies. Maybe he'll win another one. But I do think he's one of the most disrespected players of the last 5 years in European football by and large.
Yeah.
There's things about him that aren't great, and he does give the ball away a little easy, and he can be petulant. But as a footballer, you don't. The thing I always look at is this: you barely hear other footballers complain or moan about him. All they do is praise him, all of them. So sometimes I look at it and think fan perception versus what professionals think does seem to be really different.
Do you know what? And I would actually say, I agree. I actually think it's fiction. Like, I don't think Bruno's wasted his career because he is the kind of player that has the kind of talent that he should be playing for one of the biggest teams in the world and should probably be captain and should probably be the biggest contributor in that team because that's what his talent warrants. Now, is it unfortunate that he's at a United team right now that isn't the same juggernaut it was before? Yes. Could he have gone to Barcelona and done this? Yes. And would people talk about him differently? Yes. Now, there's things in his character that obviously like make him quote unquote unlikable. And I hear it. And I think it's kind of sad because actually I think the pundits and the media have done a good job on him. Like they've managed to convince everybody that the worst thing about Bruno is he complains that he loses and he complains when things are not going his way. Like we all don't do that. Like
that's crazy, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
imagine being slandered because you complain that you're losing. That's crazy.
Honestly, it's mad. It's mad. Like genuinely, in and I'm not trying to be too philosophical here, yeah, but in a world where we're like, oh, we should be more honest about the way we feel, blah 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 blah, and he shows it on the pitch. I get people go right. He's not a leader because he shows his ass and he gets upset and he demonstrates too much. But I'm like, but this is a guy who consistently shows he's not happy when standards are low. I'm like, yo, cool. Maybe he shouldn't be captain, but then he should probably have 6 or 7 other players around him that mean that he doesn't have to keep doing that. Because the reason why he's doing that is because the quality around him is so bad. When he had Pogba and all these other guys around him, he wasn't doing this as much. Like, I actually think I also think he's kind of playing in the wrong era. Like, if this was a Bruno in like anywhere from like 2005, 2010, You would see Sky Sports highlight packages about this guy with U2 music in the background every week. This guy would be what they call a Barclays man. He would be rated to the hills and back.
Yeah. Also, as well, his role got changed. He had his first season and a half. I think he scored. I don't even know what he got in totality in league goals, but it was probably somewhere in the region of 25, between high 20s and 30s. And the Ronaldo move hurt him in the sense of his role changed. And then we had Ten Hag come in, who again creative numbers remained, but just that kind of breaking into the box and scoring goals dissipated. The way we played changed. So we weren't getting as many goal scoring opportunities. There weren't as many cutback goals, which he was good at. We started getting less penalties as well. And some penalties. But we were winning penalties because of the way Ollie had us playing football. The amount of times the Rashfords and the Martials and Greenwoods were being fouled on their entries. And you boys will see it at Chelsea now that you've gone up a level with your wingers. You're going to start winning more penalties because these players are going to get fouled a little bit more. And then that's why I don't look at him as overly selfish, because he's had his role changed on a number of occasions. And he gives me those Rooney vibes. Okay, you put me deeper. I'll crack on. The amount of times we all disagreed with it. He got stuck on the right wing. Now, some people would say he got put on the right wing because Ten Hag or whatever manager doesn't really rate him in the 10 role. And it's like, I always thought that was really moronic. It's like, no, it's not that they didn't rate him. It's that he doesn't rate anyone that can play on the right, even the right wingers. So he's moving a trusted player out there. Fergie did it to Rooney all the time. Fergie didn't trust Rooney playing 9. That's why he moved him to the 10 out wide and bought a striker. No, it's because he couldn't have both. You know, it was cheaper to buy a £20 million Van Persie, who was fantastic, than it was to get one of the best 10s or wingers in the world, because the Glazers weren't sanctioning the money. But he knew he had Rooney, who would be unselfish and play out of position and still do a decent job. So, like Bruno himself, like the squad building, the changing of directions, he's also been impacted in that. Had we have carried on building the squad in the way we were under Ollie, but we just brought a better manager in, we didn't sign the Ronaldos, we carried on building and playing Bruno in that place, he'd have scored and assisted probably even more goals. And yeah, so I don't know if he actually regrets it. I'm not too sure if he does. Some people will say he will, some people will say he won't, but I'd like to have seen him, win a few more major trophies. Ginger Bish here says, Bruno is elite, world-class, whatever you want to call it. He only gets hate because he plays for United. If you think Bruno is rubbish, I worry for you. I think when people say it's rubbish, that's where I just can't.
Yeah, no,
I just can't quite compute it. It goes straight away.
I remember when he first joined the Premier League, I absolutely loved it because he was in my FPL every year, because he was like guaranteed 1 GA basically every game for the first 2 seasons. He was there, unbelievable, man.
Top guy, bro.
Fantastic. Look, boy.